of this vast area.
She did have a great power of self-promotion, but also a much better understanding than her critics did of what would go down well, and it worked for her.
Winnie shopping for independence, Marachanus, Winnie dal vo boo geboo ans the Balchan Bick and say elpoch because the beginning and the whole thing.
Stuart, and one has to talk about Stuart, her husband, within this context too, who worked with her all those years. He used to read every single local newspaper in the Highlands and Islands, and he would cut out the weddings, the events, the celebrations, the golden weddings, and Winnie would write to everybody. So she built up this relationship with an enormous number of people. So on the personal level, it was almost as if she knew everybody in the Highlands and Islands.
At sa bhain a bail Parliament Yorpach an Ysgida, woonach I gach tug. Agus chayavotach gesuas a chula turis.
She certainly became the only identifiable MEP. I mean, nobody knew nor cared what an MEP looked like, and rarely encountered them. And Winnie obviously changed that because she was high profile. I mean, she'd won masterstroke, which was given that no one ever saw an MEP. Then Winnie came upon this wheeze of sending out videos to every WRI, village hall, community association about her activity in Europe. So again, just excellent bit of campaigning.
Va fysig dyn I gro teg awn, rwt na chro as y fôr chwts dy gael apa. Va fysig dyn I gebrydje ho fer sy iach yn ddifi, gebrydje na hwyr sy iach yn ira, ha misje Sean am y liberal, as ha misje swna yn y Tory, ha misje swna i Labour, ha misje swna i National. Ha misje swna I Winnie.
Would not be allowed into any...
Dydych mar ydaini an the Westminster, va doed jes betjeneichke, va I gimmers jas le alapag yn sgwd, agus va I tarnioch na doi.
Mr. President, thank you very much.
If I understand correctly, Mr. Custe is not going to be there. I volunteer.
If she had an issue, you wanted to be there. People wanted to be there. She was a drawer. People said, well, will he use, could he speak of this? We must get it here. Very good performers in it. And some people wouldn't want to take her on.
Every single time I had an amendment to do with Scotland, I was sat in the back row. He'd come along the back row and say, Winnie, what's the number of your wee amendment? And I would hand him a copy of my amendment. Voted for me every time. Every single time for Scotland, he voted.
Sien bebe Frangach Le Monde hwg yn faranyam Madame Ecosse, rwyd chwydyn niaragedd bwyl yn barti yn breth yn achela. Achan sy frwysio laws an y Strasbourg, ba Winnie ydi hen ysdeachig mar hosgyda as lea lapa.
But I really do require you, Madam, to answer every point of order now. Thank you. As you see, j'ai fait une proposition.
After the first election, there was a big article about me winning this seat. And Le Monde called me Madame Ecosse. That's the first time it was ever used by Le Monde. Then the Labour Party said I was self-styled. I wouldn't have thought of calling myself that, but it was very nice to be called that.
Yes, Winnie Ewing milked being Madame Ecosse for all it was worth. My senior colleagues were highly irritated.
Fi genator y gyda'r yn nhw'n chef a chesw ara alapa yn honi gyffagi enem alapa. Hanny'n y cwriwn sy'n biharam, dyr hwyl y misha fa iawn, fa mar anem ora, hanny'n facultad yn y camor sy'n y hawn, sy'n gyda'ch ffarenem mar a fi ag torgwn yna.
I mean, Bill Clinton had a great line saying, in politics, if you don't blow your own trumpet, then your trumpet tends to go unblown. And I don't think anyone would ever accuse Winnie of not having observed that rule. But it was very effective, and she created a mystique almost around herself. She created an image around herself. I mean, to this day, I don't think anyone could say, whether anyone christened her Madame Ecosse apart from herself.
Dydych mar y fai an the Westminster fa Winnie na hynnyr y rychach y party. A chans yr Uniorpa fe na basigi Carson y lorag. Hw fydd I fian y ffoil party real yn y hedden, As Gaulis na Frangia of our real na Duchashin. By Dochas Parach Ade a Harin Kokushin Alabanach.
Now, there were parts of the party, quite legitimately, who asked some questions about this and who were nervous about that association. But Winnie justified it very strongly and very well, and it had, I remember the support of Gordon Wilson in this, that, a party that aspires to power and wants to govern has to associate with other parties that govern, learn with them and work with them.
What could be better than being in a group with the government of France and the government of Ireland?
Well, I was elected to the European Parliament in 1984. So there were 7 men and myself. So we were told we would join the Gaulis group. So straight away I had a communication from Winnie saying, I'm going to meet you, Eileen. We're both in joining the same group. So thrilled to bits when I got to Strasbourg, there was Winnie. And because she was sort of on her own, being the one MEP, and I was with the 7 men and myself, so immediately struck up a great friendship.
Shane Diaskach yn Yanakúsin up before and Sudran Winnie Stree agus Jespit. Chlech Creoltas Mashach and the Breton a Diaskach Margoliet Barakanachig.
Men and officers are going to end up with blood in their hands because that's what is going to be the case.
Papdeitan Johnach Galli Lingus Iaskich Napolake, at se Yaga Duich a stayat policy Kotjan and Iaskich. Hapan Big of Antri of a Feo Winnie.
It was a constant fight about fishing. When the fishing delegation came over for Scotland, they paid their own way and they were outside the room. Luxembourg was inside the room with no fishing at all. We were outside the room because we're not a member state. And that's the situation that the other parties are willing to continue with. But what's the point of being outside the room when decisions that vitally affect you are inside the room? But they're all quite happy with that. And yet that was the way negotiation went on in the 20-odd years I was there. It was shaming and it was futile and shaming.
I was in a big corrupt sabi Winnie, Corrigan in Yeska, and Corrigan Tunin sabi as a skiddy Kihania Hisu, Yanagi shit, Ungan Rutten and by idea of Fedak in Sake Edak and Has, can you traction Ovasavan, Narahashin Sas as a CFP. I'm in a big Winnie, a steward, a can eat a vashin, a can alma vashin, and a pigulation in a howl of Tachar, so it's a big Easka as Nihilligan, Akanya, as Cultihi Easka as Nihilligan Faroch, Archie Illa for Winnie Caranelloch, Farevil Ucha Traller as a hula pella pick. Agus na bir barach geisio hors di felsen agus bechgen Winnie go becushin a share Jew.
Ek naam va Lungus Iaska Halappe a Janu Suas a chutje bewoon de Lungus Vrechten. Ach va policy Gotjan en Iaskich va Kaula Halappe mat bunen Jerepel. Kola de Shishin, hai kid Iaskich se gewoon tour a horschen a batig in Spaniach.
Britain broke my heart with fishing and broke the fisherman industry into pieces. And gave it all to Spain for some reason, we don't know why. Don't know why. What had Spain done? You see, Spain had no continental shelf. So they went to fish in everybody else's waters with their big boats. We fought very hard. The Irish supported me. Sometimes some of the Brits did, but in the end of the day, Britain wasn't. If your government wasn't your side, you couldn't get very far.
I was on the side of the scientists in the belief that there should be marine conservation areas, that there should be whole areas where there was to be no fishing and the fish could breed. I thought that Winnie Ewing in general was just uttering the understandable frustration of Scottish fishermen.
To know the fishermen concerned, it was very sad. I felt I'd let them down, but they didn't think I'd let them down. They knew how hard I'd fought.
This is what we call the slop.
Honna Laju, ha Winnie na Calich and Lachit, the inner Lossi as na Shaun Yeskadan, a Humal Suez.